Thank you so much for those that are in attendance this morning for carving out a little bit of your time to hear about the state of our schools. This is an annual event that the Chamber has been thrilled to host for a good number of years now and emphasizes a very important partnership that the business community has with our public school system here in Norman. And it's a great relationship and a partnership that we are really proud to be part of. Before we get into our program and introduce our presenting sponsor today, I'd like to take a moment to just let everybody know about a couple of things that are on the horizon and then also recognize the rest of our sponsors. First, I know many of you are aware of and hopefully have already taken advantage of the Small Business Recovery Grant that the city has made available to small businesses. I would encourage you, if you fit into the category of need and size, for you to consider applying for that grant. The city set aside $1 million. The grants will be up to $10,000 each. You have until the 28th of December to submit your application. You can find a link to the application on the Chamber's website, normanchamber.com, or if you like to go straight to the city's website, you can find the application there. But please avail yourself of that, and hopefully there'll be so much positive response that the city council will consider the additional $2 million they have to add to the first round of $1 million. So hopefully we'll be able to talk them into making that additional investment into our small businesses after the 28th. Okay, well, let's get into today's program and give me just a second here to recognize our gracious sponsors. I'm going to introduce Armstrong Bank in just a second. But before I do that, I want to recognize our centerpiece sponsor. Clearly, we normally would be in person, so we still have that, and we appreciate Walmart East for filling in that spot today. We also want to recognize our platinum sponsors, Manhattan Construction, Sports Talk Media, and More Norman Technology Center. We also have a great list of gold sponsors. They are Architects in Partnership, Bank First, Eide Bailey, First Fidelity Bank, First United Bank, MA Plus Architecture, Nelson Mazda, OG&E, and Senior Cleaning and Restoration. I want to just thank all of them for their continued commitment and investment in the Chamber and importantly into our educational system. And then I'd like to take just a moment to say a special thank you to Armstrong Bank for being our presenting sponsor. They have been with us from day one when we started this event nearly almost a decade ago. And so it's my pleasure right now to introduce to you the Armstrong Bank Norman Market President, my friend Josh Edge. Josh, thanks so much. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Thanks, Scott. Just want to echo Scott's remarks there about Armstrong Bank being a great partner with not only the Norman Chamber, but certainly Norman Public Schools. And on behalf of Armstrong Bank, I want to welcome you to the 2020 State of the Schools. I don't know how many people are actually watching out there, so I don't know if I should be nervous enough to picture everybody in their underwear. So right now I just see Scott and Dr. Nick, so I'm just going to pretend it's just the three of us having a conversation. As Scott mentioned, Armstrong and Republic before us were very committed to sponsoring this event along with the Chamber and just showing our commitment to the schools. And I'm proud that Armstrong Bank is continuing that. And also seeing the great other community businesses and community partners that also value the schools and the Chamber that have stepped up to sponsor this event. A little bit about Armstrong. Everybody knows that we were formerly Republic Bank and Trust that had a strong commitment to the Norman community, Cleveland County, certainly the Chamber and certainly the schools. And I'm honored to know that Armstrong maintains that same level of commitment to not only the Norman schools, but all the school districts across the state that we happen to be in those communities. So we're just honored to continue that support. I have a personal connection to not just the city, but the schools. I grew up in Norman, went to Norman Public Schools my whole life. My wife teaches first grade at Eisenhower, and she's been there for 10 plus years. And then now our two boys attend Monroe. And so we love the schools, we love the district, and we're just really honored to be here to continue that legacy, to see the schools thrive. And we're just so happy that they're doing so well. And then we have a guy like Dr. Nick to lead us. As Scott was saying, Armstrong's been able to sponsor this event for a long time, so we're excited to be able to do that again in 2020. Dr. Nick has been with the district for a while, so he is a very familiar name, but he's been leading the district as the superintendent since 2017, in July of 2017. And I'm sure that when he said he'd want to do this, he was thinking in 3 years he would love to lead through a pandemic with no real framework on how to do this. So I'm sure that when this is all over, he'll sign the books that he's authored on how to run a school district in turbulent times that we're in. So Nick, everyone knows Nick's commitment to the school district, to education, to advancing education through technology, and through just the continued commitment of connecting businesses in the community to the school. He understands and has made a concerted effort to making sure that it's not just the admin and the teachers leading the district, that it's the entire community stepping up to lead the district. And so his leadership has been seen through that for obviously the last 3 years, but have been in the times before that. Everyone knows his commitment to seeing the education system in Norman improve year after year. So without further ado, Dr. Nick, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it, Josh, and I'm going to take your words and that I'm just going to pretend I'm talking to the three of you as well. First time I've done a state of the schools. I've done some town halls with Scott where it's Q&A, but doing a town hall where I'm sitting here staring at myself is going to be challenging. But you're spot on. In 1994, when I came into the district at Irving as a math teacher and coach, it never would have even crossed my mind, one, that I would have become the superintendent. Dr. Gray was the superintendent at that time, or that I would have led through and had the opportunity to work with teachers through a worldwide pandemic, something that has been incredibly challenging. But I just, feel blessed to have all the people around me, the support of this community through this, because without that, Norman Public Schools, first of all, it wouldn't be Norman Public Schools, but we would not be where we are. So it's not about who's leading it, it's about who's supporting that person, and that is the community, the teachers, and just all the families. So really want to thank you, Scott. I want to thank you in the chamber for staying the course and having this, because although what we read a lot about, everything that's going on in the news is around COVID. And I'm hoping that in this, I can share a lot of things that are non-COVID, some of the celebrations, some of the great things happening with Norman Public Schools, and just that a state of the schools minus COVID. I will touch on COVID. I will, obviously address some of those things, but really want to get into some of the celebrations that we have around our students and faculty, as we do normally when we do the state of the schools. But to do that, to start off, I want to do a few introductions. And first and foremost, I'd be remiss if I did not introduce our school board. You can see their fine pictures here on the screen, and I'm assuming and sure they're on the call somewhere out there. But our president, Dirk O'Hara, vice president, Dr. Dan Snell, Cindy Nashert, school board member, Chad Weiss, school board member, and Linda Sexton, school board member. These five people, when we talk about going through what we've gone through this last year, I can't thank them enough for the countless hours. Their second and third full-time job has been up here at this office, working with me, working with our cabinet, and just everybody to try to lay a plan out that we can work around. Just incredible individuals, credible human beings, and all of them have a commitment for students and families and serving. So thank you all for the work you do. Also, I want to recognize our cabinet. Wow, you talk about people putting in time and trying to lead through something that there is no playbook, there is no guide on how to do what we're doing. All of us working with our consortiums and other educators around the state, health professionals, our cabinet has done a tremendous job and continues to do a tremendous job. I'm not going to go through and introduce everybody individually, but you know who they are. I want to thank them personally for their support of our students, families, and teachers. So with that being said, let's jump into it. I think it's really important that we start off with some numbers, and I want to share those numbers with you. And I'm hoping this technology works, that you can see these. Our enrollment. This is a historical look at where Norman has been since 2015. For the most part, a pretty flat enrollment. Last year, we actually had our largest bump in enrollment than we've had in many years. We were up to 16,200 students. But to date, we're down over, I'll say more than 1,500 students. That number continues to go up and down. But that's significant, but I think that's also important to understand. Families are making choices during this time, and I respect each and every family for the choices they are making that is best for them. And we are here to serve their students in any way that we possibly can. But I think it's important to share that enrollment number with you. Next, I kind of want to talk about what does that enrollment look like? Right now, of those students who are enrolled, that 14,400, 500 students that are enrolled, 66% of them are in our schools, meaning 66% of that 14,005 are actually coming to school. Then we have the other two areas, the virtual and blended, with percentages listed here. Just want to kind of share that. That's a question I get often on what do our numbers look like and how many are actually coming to school. So that is our enrollment breakdown. And then next, as you know, if you've been in Norman for any amount of time, Norman is changing, and it has continued to change. And that is reflected in our schools, especially with our demographics. And right now, we've seen actually a large growth in our Hispanic population. But I'm not going to read all these numbers to you, but we do have a very diverse school district, and we celebrate that each and every day. Because I believe the more diverse your school district is, the more opportunities there are to learn. And we are seeing that in our district, and we're working hard to, one, address the needs of all the students, but two, provide the best possible education we can for all of our students, no matter where they come from or what their situation is. And that brings me to my next slide. And I will say, and I've said this before, this is something that probably I am the most excited about of anything that I've ever had a role in doing. From the time I was at Irving as a teacher and a coach from the time I got named as superintendent, diversity has been something that's been on my mind. The way I grew up, the friends I had, it's always important to recognize who's around you. And so with that, this year we were able to hire our executive director of DEI, Ms. Stephanie Williams. Many of you know her. She's been an assistant principal at Whittier, at Norman North, state assistant principal of the year, principal at Longfellow, but also last year began running, or a year and a half ago, running our diversity and equity council. And this year I was able to hire her as the executive director of DEI for Norman Public Schools. And I'm speechless on how excited I am about this. She is doing an incredible job. Her roles and what she's already started doing, she's brought in training and awareness training for all of us, starting from the top down. Our board members are engaged in going through trainings. Our principals are going through trainings. And she has a lot of things in store for this district. Her responsibilities, I just want to share those to tell you how important this position is to our district, is First of all, she's going to help lead our recruitment cadre. We believe that our faculty should represent our students. Our students should be able to go to school and see people who look like them. So we're putting an emphasis on recruitment of not only the best, but intentional recruitment when it comes to diversity. Also, professional development, I mentioned that. She's working closely with Beth Albert and all of our principals on professional development, working with our libraries and what materials we have in our buildings. But also, she is looking at and auditing all of our district policies to make sure we're not missing anything, that things aren't going through that shouldn't be going through. So Stephanie, I appreciate the work you're doing. I know all of us on cabinet appreciate the work, but the district does too. But an important position, and we're leading the way in this with public schools. So thank you. With that, moving on, student achievement. That's what we're about. And let's talk about some of our celebrations in student achievement in Norman Public Schools. Historically, our students have done great, and this year is no exception. So I'm going to fly through a few of the awards and accolades our students have received over the year. This year, we had 14 National Merit Scholarship semifinalists, National Merit Scholar semifinalists. As always, one of the top districts in the state in the number of National Merit finalists. And, you know, this year being a little bit different, obviously students, incredibly talented students, great teachers in our district, but also parents are playing an even more crucial role in what's going on in their students' educational lives. So thank you to all those groups. Great job. Next, McKinley Elementary, one of only 6 schools in the state of Oklahoma to be recognized as a blue ribbon school for their excellence and progress in closing the achievement gap. So my shout out to Carol Emerson and her staff, job well done. Great things going on across the district in all of our schools. This just happens to be one of them who got identified as a blue ribbon school, one of 6 in the state. Great job. Next, I want to talk about Washington Elementary. They took 1st and 2nd place in meaningful economics and entrepreneurship competition. Great job. Also, we had 8 students receive the award for arts excellence. Fantastic. 8 students also became Oklahoma Academic All-State recipients. And just so you know, there are only 100 total across the state. So once again, Norman Public Schools up the top of that as well. And then Sophia Brooks receiving a Congressional Art Competition, is a competition award winner. And I want to take a moment. This is so fabulous. I just want to zoom in on that. How great is that? This is just one example of the incredible work our students are doing across the district, especially in the arts. So Sophia, fantastic, fantastic. Let's see if I can get technology to take it back. There we go. And again, 2020 National Gold Councils of Excellence. Both of our high schools were recognized with this award through student councils. And so as you can see, a lot of great things going on with our students across the district. Now I want to jump into giving a little bit of update of what's going on with our bond. And before I get into this, I want to personally thank all of you who had a role in helping us pass the 2019 bond. As you know, with our bonds, we have different areas of emphasis as we work on passing a bond and implementing a bond. All those areas of emphasis are also areas of need. And it doesn't just happen by putting a bond on the ballot. It really takes a lot of work. So the Yes for Kids group and all the other partners that are out there that help support this bond initiative and get out there and share the facts about what's going on, truly appreciate you. And hopefully you're seeing that come to fruition across the district. As always, we try to over deliver on everything, and so far we are doing that in all of these projects. With that, give you an update. I know this may be a little hard to read, but our timeline is listed on the screen. All the updates on all the different sites can also be found on our website in regards to the bond, but we are right on track with all the different projects. You can see all the schools listed here, and we still aim on finishing all the projects by the summer of 2022 so that we're able to start the 22-23 school year with all the projects completed. So well on our way and getting stuff done. Here are a few pictures of what's going on. You know, in the bond, I guess the primary focus of this last bond was student safety. And this is a picture at Longfellow of one of the safe rooms going up. And, you know, this is happening across the district. So just wanted to give a glimpse of this. Once again, more photos are available on the website, but things are happening just about every one of our sites. As always, that does create a challenge when school is going on and you're trying to have capital improvements, but our teachers, our staff, our students, and our principals are working hard to try not to have that impact what's going on educationally in the buildings. Another picture here I want to bring to your attention. This is the Nancy O'Brien Center located on Norman North's campus. It's our fine arts building. Many of you have been in that building, incredible facility, but we are upgrading that as a part of the bond. And once again, I want to thank the Yes for Kids group for this. The picture you see here is a beam signing and you know, kind of recognition of the work that's going on. Just so you know, this is the Nancy O'Brien facility, and in this picture, I'll zoom in on it in just a second. You know, Nancy's family was here for this beam signing, and also in the picture, Dr. Jim Gray's daughter was able to make it. Elaine Hale was not able to make it, but she did get a signature on the beam. Because of COVID, she needed to stay home. But, and I bring up Elaine Hale because you know the Professional Development Center that's located on Gray Street right now is named after Elaine Hale. And the Nancy O'Brien Center, the addition we're adding on is a professional development center. We will be relocating our professional development center to this facility. So two great friends will have their names associated with the same building, and just really excited for that. But the new home for the Professional Development Center will be here. The other great thing about this facility, when we get past all of this that we're going on, there will be numerous conference rooms that not only will we be able to use for professional development in our district, but also the community will be able to utilize those rooms for conferences and or just meetings. Right now, the only place we have in the district for that is here at the ASC, but this will be much larger than that with much more space. So really looking forward to not only utilizing this space internally, but also sharing it with the community. Dimensions Academy. Wow. That was a part of this last bond and a huge part. If you were able to hear any of my talks around the bond, we played a video about the impact of Dimensions Academy on students and the work they're doing at this school. And I want you to know that was an emphasis in this bond. And they are now living in a new building, which is incredible. I become choked up every time I talk about Dimensions, because these students and staff have lived in a facility for many, many years since their inception that did not match the quality of work. It was not deserving of the work that was going on at Dimensions. And this new facility, which is a state-of-the-art facility located behind Norman Regional Hospital off of Finley, is just that. If you haven't had an opportunity to see it, please do so. Please call over. We would love to set up a tour for you to go through Dimensions. But the work that is going on in this facility now equal each other. The facility is very representative of the work going on. It's not quite done. We hope to have, we will be closing on our safe room and gymnasium in January, which is just adjacent to the Dimensions Academy. There is a playground, and it's just an incredible place. And really, of all the work we're doing in the bond, this is the shining star for students in this district. As the state continues to cut funding for programs such as this, we continue to invest in that because we know the impact that alternative education, specifically Dimensions Academy, has on students that are going to be in this community as adults in the future. So thank you for that. Okay, now let's talk about some of the staff. Let's talk about some of the people who make all of this possible, our teachers and staff across the district. Now, I'm just going to go through a few of them. Just like the students, so many more awards out there. I just don't have time to go through all of them. Same here, but I do want to recognize a few of our staff members that are doing incredible things. First off, Jessica Eschbach, 2021 Oklahoma Teacher of the Year finalist, also the District Teacher of the Year, obviously, but she is one of 12 finalists for the State Teacher of the Year. Incredible, incredible honor, incredible person, great teacher, and wherever she serves, she is doing great things. Also want to shout out and give kudos to all the District Teachers of the Year who are, if you didn't know, elected by their peers at each site. So congratulations to all the Teachers of the Year for Norman Public Schools. And then a shout out to Jessica Eschbach for making it as one of the top 12 in the state. Great job. Next, Jill Markman, Oklahoma History Teacher of the Year. Alice Nan, Oklahoma Foreign Language Teacher of the Year. Tari Simmons, Oklahoma Secondary Art Teacher Educator of the Year. Missy Smith, Oklahoma School Counselor of the Year. Martha Pingburn, Oklahoma School Librarians Polly Clark Award winner. Loretta Coker, Red Earth Festival Best in Show. And Diane Wood, Donna Gradell Fund for Teacher Fellowship Award winner. Once again, great things going on individually with our teachers across the district. Once again, this is just a snapshot of some of the awards and recognitions our staff is getting. But did you hear all the of the year awards that have been identified for Norman Public Schools? That just kind of tells you the quality of teachers that choose to serve the students of Norman Public Schools. Next, I want to recognize a lot of people, but first of all, as you know, Norman Public Schools has an ongoing commitment to energy conservation, something we've been doing for years, trying to put the best fixtures in our schools and be incredibly conscious with how we utilize our utilities, not only for the cost savings, but the benefit for the environment and the world. And this just recently at our board meeting, we had a proposition just for this, and I want to give a shout out to Sarah Chan and Laura Vaughn, who actually from the teacher side have really been leading this charge, trying to find every way they can and we can possibly become better stewards of what we're doing. So thank you. This was just Monday night at the board meeting, so a great time to celebrate. Also, I want to spotlight a couple of employees. So this is Cameron Sargent. Cameron is a transportation employee, and he's just one example of teachers going above and beyond. He saw a need at Monroe Elementary, and he volunteered his time off between his routes at Monroe for 4 days in a row. That is great. We really appreciate you, Cameron, and thank you for the work you do. But that's just one example. Next, I want to spotlight Curtis Massey. Curtis is a teacher's assistant at Eisenhower, as you can see behind him in the picture. There was one day when, he noticed something. He noticed that a student had a flat tire on her bicycle. Curtis didn't just say, hey, do you want to call your parents, see if someone can come pick you up? Do we want to do something? No. What Curtis did was he walked her home and carried her bicycle for her. Just another example of the heart our teachers and our staff have for kiddos. So thank you, Curtis, for that great job. And once again, just another example of great things going on with our staff members. Finally, with staff, two ladies I want to recognize: Courtney Williams, who is an RN with us and works at the district health office, and Nan Schumann. Both of these ladies were selected for the CDC leadership program for COVID-19 and our response. I just really want to thank them for their work as we continue to work through this pandemic, but I also want to take a moment to thank all of our health professionals, led by Beth Roberson in our district. Wow, what a job they have done. And we talk about the work our people are doing in our district, but I also mentioned the work could not be done without the partnerships in our district. And in our district, for many years, I believe we were probably the first in the state and one of the few in the nation that had nurses at every one of our sites. And if it wasn't for the Norman Regional Health Foundation and Norman Regional Hospital, we wouldn't have nurses at every one of our sites. They have been an incredible partner. They help us fund nurses across the district. So just really a shout out. But thank you, Courtney and Nan. Great job and great work as they continue to work with us on how we're addressing COVID across the district. With that, let's talk about COVID-19 just a bit. I don't want to dwell on it, but just want to once again thank Norman Regional and the foundation and all of those in the health community, the Cleveland County Health Department, and just everybody for not only waiting on and helping us when we ask questions, pushing in and giving us information proactively and helping us work through this for the benefit of our students, families, and staff. So we are, as you know, continued, our focus is on providing opportunities for all of our students. And some of the things we're doing in our district look a little bit different. And I'm going to zoom in on this. This is, we are one of the first districts in the state. From the very beginning, we mandated masks in our district. But how does that work in different areas? A lot of people ask. Well, with the leadership of Dr. Benson and our fine arts program, TD O'Hara with our athletics, we're able to find unique ways to allow our students to participate while being safe. If you notice here, you have a flute player, you have a saxophone, you have all the different instruments, and there are different masks made for each one of these instruments. This is a slit that the flute can go through. Same here with the saxophone, but if you see on the end of the saxophone, there's also a cover there. So being creative and implementing and purchasing the tools we need to try to keep our students and staff as safe as we possibly can. So just new and inventive ways of doing that. And these things are changing all the time, and we're trying our best to stay on top of them. But once again, it goes back to partners helping us, keeping us focused on the new stuff that is out there so that we can implement those things. So another thing, if you remember, we have a partnership with Grace Living where we have a two pre-K programs at Grace Living Center. Last year that got cut really short. But the impact that program not only has on the little bitties, but the grands, the residents at Grace Living is incredible. And it's something that we are committed to continuing. And right now we're having to do that in a very safe way. This photograph shows some of the ways that the grands and the littles are connecting through windows. This was Halloween. And I will say, tomorrow there may or may not be a 6'6" Santa Claus greeting people at Grace Living. Don't know. It's one of my jokes. You know, I don't get a response, just like on Zoom. I don't know if that went over well or not, but you may or may not see a 6'6" Santa Claus at Grace Living tomorrow, greeting students as they come off the bus and waving at the grands at Grace Living. So a program that we're committed to, huge impact on students and the residents, and something we would love to expand as well. Now let's talk about testing. I mentioned Beth Roberson and her leadership of all the health professionals. I've recognized the health professionals in our community, the hospital, and other groups for their help. But you know, one thing we are doing in our district is we're providing rapid antigen testing for all of our staff. We just did that, tested over 600 or 700 staff members just a day or two ago. Incredible process. Our RNs, our nurses are doing that. But also we have the ability, our nurses were trained by the people at Emmy to administer PCR testing to those who are symptomatic, meaning if someone has symptoms, student or staff, while at school, if they get those symptoms before they leave, we can administer the PCR test. What that does is, you know, as that person goes home, it allows them to go home and not have to make another stop, not have to make another appointment to go get tested. We can test them at their school. So once again, the leadership of our staff, the partnerships in this community make that possible. So just wanted to kind of let everybody know we are doing that in our school district. COVID has an impact across our district in academics. Everybody knows this. If you have children in our district, you feel that impact. And I want you to know our staff is working hard. Our principals are working hard. Our curriculum coordinators are working hard to identify individual students and where their gaps are and addressing them. And I promise you, this picture is not me addressing individual gaps. This is me doing what I love to do, is going out and reading to elementary kiddos. And you know what? The kiddos are great. At the elementary schools, you walk in, their masks are on. You can see them in this picture. And I got to read to them. I've been able to do this in a few classes this year. And you know, that's what lights my fire, is seeing the kids' eyes in person. I don't know how good of a reader I am. But I truly enjoy getting to see them and engaging with the students. So all that being said, we know there are gaps. We know there are challenges. Teachers are giving students grace. Students are giving teachers grace in this crazy time. Families are giving teachers grace. And you know what I've told my teachers is we have to give each other grace as well. You have to give yourself grace in these times, because it is an incredibly anxious time, stressful time, fearful time to be an educator in a classroom with people coming in and out. And I'm so thankful that our teachers are in the buildings serving our students during this time. And we are going to get through this, and we're going to do right by our families and our students. And as the district, we're going to do right by our teachers. So our teachers are getting trained. We're working on this. Is it all going to get fixed in 1 year? Nope, absolutely not. But we are working hard to identify gaps and work with students on an individual basis, as we always have. Next, during COVID, as many of you know, you've seen it in the paper, you've seen it around, we fed students 18 years and younger all summer, you know, tens of thousands of meals a week. We are continuing to do that. If you did not know, we're providing free breakfast and lunch to all students at our schools, at all schools, but also we have a pickup drop-off for maybe those who are remote or virtual. And all they have to do is come by and pick them up on our website. They can go in and pre-order the food, and it'll be available for pickup as you see here. So we're so happy to be able to do this. As you know, during this time, sometimes a lot of neglect happens when people aren't at school, or people are losing their jobs, and being able to provide free food for children 18 and under means a lot, and hopefully we're helping parents out in doing this, but more importantly, making sure our students are able to stay healthy. And I mentioned this earlier, but our teachers are working harder than they ever had. There's not one of our teachers I know of who went to school to be a virtual teacher. There's not one of them who went to school to learn how to teach virtual or remote and in person at the same time. But I tell you what, they are doing that. They are working as hard as they can. The expectations, as I've gone around to all our sites, I've made it to over half of them, been in front of over 800 faculty members so far in the last couple of weeks talking to them. The expectations they have for themselves are higher than you would ever imagine. And that is probably the most challenging piece in all of this. Having an expectation here, seeing where the kids are and the families are, and trying to get everybody to those high expectations, that's really tough. That's when we have the conversation around, give yourself grace. This is a tough time. Keep your high expectations. We have them as well. But also know we have to meet people where they are. And at the end of the day, we all just have to do our very, very best. And that's where we are. And then we do that every day, and it will make a difference in the lives of our students. But it is incredibly taxing. It is incredibly hard. Teaching in a normal year, and you business people in the business sector have heard me say this, it's the hardest job there is, period. Teaching to the most critical audience, giving a presentation every hour on the hour to the most critical audience there is, knowing that that audience is going to go home and share with their parents their perception on what went on in class. Then you may or may not hear from them. That is tough in a normal year. Add COVID on it, add the other variables. It is challenging, and we just need to continue to work together as a community, as a school district, to support each other, and we will get through this together. We're seeing that already. With that being said, if you would like to become a guest teacher, that's one of the challenges we have right now is getting enough substitutes, because we do have quarantines taking place. We do have people who are having to miss school, and getting substitutes or guest teachers in our buildings has been really hard. Here's something we've done that no other district has done, and it doesn't always work to throw money at things. Not that we have a whole lot of money to throw at things. You have to have people to accept, but we have raised our guest teacher rates for certified teachers to $100 a day, and for non-certified to $85 a day. So maybe we can get some more people interested. We've already seen an uptick this week in more people signing up to be guest teachers. So we are trying to do everything we can. If you want to be a guest teacher, if you want to give back, if you have the time, please sign up, go to our website, reach out to our Human Resources Department, and we will get you moving in that area. But as partners in education, if there's something you want to do, this is a great opportunity. Okay, partnerships. So many partners. In person, we typically have a screen that has every partner listed up there that we have, and just don't have the ability to do that through Zoom. So you know who you are if you're a partner. I want to thank all of you. I do want to give a shout out to a couple. I've already mentioned a few through the presentation, but without partners, we would not be able to do what we do in a regular year, but especially in a pandemic year. But I do want to recognize the Norman Public Schools Foundation, who has been around for quite a long time. They continue to invest in our classrooms and our teachers at a minimum. That's their primary goal, but they do so much more. So if you feel the need, please, please, please your money's put to good use, please invest in the Norman Public Schools Foundation. I do. I encourage everybody to, and they work with us side by side to make sure our teachers have the resources they have. And with that said, rolling out tomorrow, because of Norman Public Schools Foundation being our lead sponsor on this, our Norman Learning Bus rolls out tomorrow. Once again, there may or may not be a 6'6", very sweaty Santa at this one as well after being at Grace Living. I don't know. But this is happening tomorrow, and then this bus is going to hit the road, and you will see it around the community, and this is exactly what it looks like. And it's an incredible thing. We've been waiting for this for quite a while. Everyone who's worked on this is incredibly excited. And if you want to see it, just reach out to Alicia Leafmaster or Ann Rosales, and they'll let you know where it is and where it's going to be stopped or parked and beginning this winter break. So look for it. It's a great thing. And with that, I want to end with Partners in Education and the Norman Chamber. Without them, so many things wouldn't come together. Such a conduit, such a connector for the Norman Public Schools and the business community. Scott, with your leadership and everyone else who works with you, really, really appreciate the work you do. Really appreciate your support, especially in tough times. It's easy to support in easy times, but it's tough to support when it's hard times. Not just schools, but everything that's going on in the world, but especially this community. So thank you for your leadership, and thank you for being such a great partner and allowing me to share some of the great things and real things that are going on in Norman Public Schools. With that, thank you very much. And Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, Dr. Nick, thank you so much. And what a great time to celebrate Norman Public Schools. And I know that COVID-19 is top of mind for all of us. We're all working and doing our best to try to battle that and do it in a smart way. And so I'm glad, Nick, that you mentioned what's happening in our schools in that regard. As a parent, I see it every day and understand how you're trying to do your best to address that. But I'm also encouraged because I'm glad that you mentioned and gave us an update on the success we're seeing with the bond package. That was another great opportunity for our community to come together, celebrate our children, our teachers, and staff for our system, and build on what the great things that you guys are doing on a daily basis. And then also, I'm not surprised, but I'm glad to see the state and national recognition that many of our students and staff are receiving. I know it happens every year, but I think it's important, particularly in today's environment, that we take a moment just to recognize the successes of Norman Public Schools. So thank you for sharing that. Nick, one little hot button question I want to ask you before we wrap up, because I know it's probably on top of mind for everybody. We have a week and a few days before Christmas break. Everybody's anxious and looking forward to that. What do you think this next spring looks like for the district moving forward? Do you see any changes in the way things are going to be, or what's on your mind right now in that regard as you plan and prepare for the coming spring semester?
Yeah, sure. Optimism. I would love for it to all just go back to normal and be good, and that would be fantastic. But truly, those of you who have kiddos in the school know that we've sent out surveys asking you, what are your plans for the spring semester? What are your plans? Because that really drives what we do in Norman Public Schools, the parents and the students. So if you haven't filled out or notified your school on what enrollment path you want to take, please do. It's not too late, because that truly does direct what we're doing. But with that said, we learned a lot over this first semester. We made mistakes at all levels, and we've tried to get better. but at those. So we're going to continue on. We're still going to provide virtual education. We're still going to provide remote opportunities and in-person opportunities, but we hope to get better. Each one of our school sites, I share with my sites, I truly believe in site leadership, and that's not principal leadership, that's teacher leadership at the sites, and what is working and what is not. So to say every site's going to do it exactly the same, I don't think so. What's going to work for their site based on their enrollment in their neighborhood and their community. So you may see some changes at different sites on how different things are offered. But at the end of the day, we're going to do our best, Scott, to meet every student and every family where they are and provide the best options we can for them. So we're going to keep on keeping on going into next year. Obviously, we're going to learn a lot. We've learned some things that we're going to keep going with into next year that when we're all back to normal for sure, that, options, parents and families want options. That's the way of the world now. And we will continue to offer options for families. But we also know that in-person teaching is the most effective, without a doubt. There's no reason why, when you look at virtual education across the state, across the nation, you're looking at 40 and 50% graduation rates. And those are in good years. Those are non-COVID years. And a lot of families are feeling that and how hard it is to get a good education and to excel virtually. Some do, but not all, and the majority don't. And that our goal is to get as many back in person safely as we possibly can.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as a parent, I can tell you that every day when I chat with my kids and get an update on what's happening in their classroom, our teachers, they're succeeding in educating and growing, helping our kids grow. I see it personally every day as I talk to my own children, and am so impressed with how you guys are maneuvering and getting through this very challenging time. And I know that you share the sentiment with me that we hope this time of year, the biggest decision you have to make is whether or not you're going to close schools for snow and ice, as opposed to something else. So
I wish for those snow and ice days, Scott. Yeah, we had one in October, right? So that was great. But
yeah.
Hey, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talk about the teachers and doing a great job, and absolutely. And those of you who are parents and community members, thank a teacher. They are doing hard work. I know everybody is. I know frontline workers are. Our teachers are essentially frontline workers too. And they are front lines serving students so the rest of the world can continue to operate as well. So please thank a teacher or two or 10 or 1,200.
Well, I think that's a great way to end our conversation in this season of Thanksgiving, that we can all do that. And that's the least we can do to show our appreciation for our educators that we also love and appreciate. So before we wrap up, let me again take a moment to thank all of our generous sponsors. We have our gold sponsors, Sooner Cleaning and Restoration, OG&E, Nelson Mazda, MA Plus Architecture, First United Bank, First Fidelity Bank, Eide Bailey, Bank and Architecture Sponsorship. Our platinum sponsors, Manhattan Construction, Sports Talk Media, and Moore Norman Technology Center. Our centerpiece sponsor, Walmart East. And then our presenting sponsor, again, Josh, thank you, the entire team at Armstrong Bank. You guys have been with us from day one when we started this, and we appreciate your continued commitment. To all of our sponsors, thank you. And as for all of our chamber members that tuned in today, if we can do anything to help you throughout this holiday season or as we approach the new year, please don't hesitate to give us a call or shoot us an email. We're all in these challenging times together, and we're going to get through it. So Nick, thank you again for your time and your entire team. We appreciate each and every one of you. Everybody take care and have a great rest of the week.